So if inflation's running at 8% and you're only earning 3%, your money is depreciating every year by what? Negative 5%. So your paper cash is decreasing every year. So if you buy something in the grocery store, say you buy a drink that costs $1, next year that drink's going to be $1.05 plus taxes, right? Because the cost of living is going to go up by at least 5%. So if your money is depreciating in value sitting in the bank, right? Banks are coming up because this generation is demanding growth on their money. So you're going to find that more banks are eliminating their fees. I do Capital One because they don't have any fees. ATM fees, this fee, that fee. So even if I go and pay an ATM fee, Capital One doesn't charge me a fee on top of that fee. Because you've got $3 for this, let's say PNC fee, and then Capital One will charge you a fee, and it ends up being $6 to take money out of the ATM, right? So that's another way that your money is depreciating in value. So golden nugget number one is make sure you, your family, your grandkids, everybody has a high yield savings account. Now, emergency funds are supposed to be 3 months worth of your expenses. So if your expenses are, just make it easy, $1,000 a month, then you should have at least $3,000 at all times, bare bone minimum, sitting in a savings account growing at 5%, hopefully interest. Any questions? Am I going too fast? Are y'all with me? You with me?
Okay. When you put money away like that, though, for an emergency, put it someplace that you can put your hands on it.
Yes, okay, I'm right there. We're on the same page. Okay, let me do it. Your emergency funds do not belong in things that have surrender charges. We're on the same page, honey bunny, right here, okay? So only bank accounts that you can put your hands on, absolutely. So it's not what she was talking about, is CD. Why? Because of the surrender charges.
Except for the new one that they have at Navy Federal has a one-time withdrawal with no penalty.
One time, okay.
I never saw that before, but
Wow.
that's
One
all
time
the
withdrawal.
difference in the world.
Oh, CD with one time withdrawal.
Yes.
Oh, see, they're trying to catch up, okay? As we become educated, they're going to have to change, right? So we're going to force change on that. But for right now, I always recommend to clients that, especially if you're just starting out, saving money, or you're not in the habit of setting aside money, that it be in an account that's not connected to your debit card. We always recommend that you tithe to yourself 10% of every dime you earn. Such is the book, The Richest Man in Babylon, okay, which is one of the old biblically based books about money, right? And it says tithe to yourself 10% of every dime you earn, right? And then I want to say not Dale Carnegie, but W. Clement Stone said, W. Clement Stone is industrial industry billionaire. He said that if you don't have the ability to save money and not touch it, the seeds of success are not in you, because you haven't been able to get past bad times and hold back some money during bad times. So 3 months bare bone minimum. If you were to do an investment with our firm, we won't take you unless you have 3 months worth of emergency funds set aside and you're in the habit of not touching your emergency funds. Because if you start an investment, that's going to become your emergency fund. And it's going to be taking 3 steps forward to take 4 steps backward. So I have turned down people in that I've kissed them and loved them. I said, but you can't be our client because you don't have at least 3 months worth of savings in emergency funds. And then we hand them a pamphlet, a booklet that gives you step by step, and hand you a list of banks. Because it doesn't make sense to put your money in a bank with a bunch of fees, only growing at 1% interest, right? So Be Your Own Bank starts right there with a foundation of setting money aside every time you get money into an emergency fund that's not connected with your checking account. Because if you get in trouble and overdraft, they're going to go into your savings if it's connected, right? That's not connected with your debit card. that's electronically, out of sight, out of mind, going into an emergency fund. And then when you have a legitimate emergency, you go get it, right? But then you do what after you get it?
Replenish it.
Hallelujah, Miss Financial Advisor Coach. You pay yourself back. That's all in the concept of being your own bank. Have you paid yourself back? If you had, at 86 years old, how much money would you have saved if you saved every dime at 5% and consistently paid yourself back? How much money would you have? Look at those chicks.
Maybe she
Right?
showed me that.
Right? So you should have shown it, right? Pay yourself back. Pay yourself back. And this is what we teach our children and our children's children as a foundation. Let's say you pass away and you leave your child $1 million. But your child is 16 and still going through puberty. What is he gonna do? What will my son do?
Spend the money.
Buy a Ferrari. And the money will be gone, right? The money might be gone in 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, right?
I think the court would order a trustee.
They would order a trustee.
He's not of legal
Yes,
age.
trustee. So we're on the same page, honey bunny. So that's what we're talking about, trust funds and trustees and trust, right? So you can control your assets from the grave forever and ever, amen. Right? Just like Rockefeller is controlling his assets right now as we speak from trust funds.
Oh, yeah.
What should be in a trust fund?
Physical assets that are not easily liquidated.
Physical assets that are not easily liquidated? Absolutely. My mentor, who's worth $85 million, said, put everything in a trust, even your name. I say-lined that for a minute. Because when your name is inside of a trust, what's going on with your Social Security number? Your Social Security number is out of the matrix. I'm just going to let that say-la for a minute. If you have a business, an LLC, you put that in a trust. Right? You no longer own the business. The trust owns the business. You're going to minimize what? Taxes. You're going to minimize your taxes, right? Your home should be in a trust, right? Your IRA, your 401k, your CD, nothing should be outside of the trust. And then from the trust, you teach financial literacy. Because you sit down with a lawyer, and I'm just going to use my son. I'm a single mom. I have one son, as you can say. You say, from the grave, you say, Solomon, you must finish college with a 2.5 grade point average. You must not do excessive marijuana and alcohol. You must marry a woman of good standard. I mean, things like that, right? And when you've hit this benchmark, the trust will pay you $100,000. When you hit this benchmark, the trust will pay you this. And then it will go on to pay your grandchildren and your children's children, right? So you teach financial literacy on your trust with your wishes. That's being your own bank. Yes? So think broader as far as trust is concerned. Write this down. There's something called a guarantor retained IRA trust. So you put your retirement money in this, right? When you first design it, it's going to be revocable. So that means you can go in and change it, right? Because you no longer own your IRA, you're going to put your IRA in there, right? Because you no longer own your IRA, it's going to be minimum taxes. Whoa, I see the fingers stepping up before I even finish my sentence. Y'all want to finish my sentence, then I want to let you in, okay?
a revocable trust means that you can still get to it.
Yes,
So that's, I'm a little befuddled at
She
that.
said initially though.
initially. Okay, initially.
That's gonna change.
Initially, okay, it's going to be revocable. But when your heart and soul tells you to, you're going to lock it down. You're going to make it irrevocable. Okay? The minute you make it irrevocable, what happens to the taxes? Good question. Ooh. Becomes tax-free. Becomes tax-free when it becomes irrevocable. Okay? So, how did the Rockefellers pass on income and wealth? By an irrevocable trust. And there are many methods to this as well, where you put your life insurance in there, and the life insurance keeps funding it throughout the generations. It has to be a cash value. It can't be a term policy. Term policies terminate. And if you don't know the difference between term and whole life or term and permanent, we can talk about that at another time. But it has to be a permanent policy. Right?
Whole life.
Whole life or index universal life or different types. Okay? All right. That's the beginning. I haven't even gotten to the slides. Yes? All right. Questions? Are you a financial advisor?
No, I worked in the trust department at originally Virginia National Bank for 29 years. So the verbiage is okay, and I learned a lot on the job.
Nice. Very good. All right. So I expect you to be my amen corner. And I don't mind if you put your little finger up, okay? Okay, but I might wait till I finish my sentence.
Okay.
Okay?
Well, that's
All
to
right.
remind me that I do have something to ask. Okay?
And then write down too if I get off, because I can take bunny tails.
So
All
question,
right?
how does putting your name in the trust, what is that all about? You said to put your name in the trust.
That is for business and tax purposes. You own your own name. Now that's advanced. Trust me. So actors and entertainers put their name inside of a trust, and they change their name so that when the trust, when they file taxes, the trust is the owner of their name. You own your name.
So no taxes?
Limited.
Okay.
It's an OJ move. OJ ducked the when he was sued. He was able to duck a lot of financial.
He sure did.
Right, and that was one of the things he learned from his super wealthy friends, and that I've learned from my super wealthy friends about taxes. Boy, you all dug it out, dug the good stuff out right away. All right, so listen, being your own bank. Here is the literal definition. Banks make money when we deposit money into the bank. So when you deposit, let's say Richelle deposited $10,000 in the bank. So the bank is going to take my money and loan it to Dr. Margie. And they're going to check her credit. Let's just say she has challenging credit. They're going to charge her 15% interest on my $10,000. Then when Dr. Margie pays back the $10,000 plus 15% interest, they're going to turn around and they're going to loan my money out again to Shirley. And check her credit. She's going to pay $10,000 plus 12%. And banks are allowed to loan out money 10 times. So they can take your savings and loan it out 10 different times and get it paid back. How about that? All right. So the profit that they earn is from the interest that they charge on our money. So the idea of being your own bank is leveraging a loan. So let's just say I need money for Rayma. Okay? And let's just say this is Shark Tank. And you're Donald Trump. I'm just messing around with you. I wanted to make him smile, right? And let's just say this is a table of investors, and I'm saying I need $1 million. I'm broke. Let's just say I have no money, okay? But I'm coming into you to invest in my business. And Dr. Margie said, I'll invest in your business, Richelle, for 30% share ownership and 30% profit. And I say, deal. And Dr. Margie gives me $500,000. Right? So what did I do? I'm broke. She doesn't know I'm broke. But now I can take Dr. Margie's $500,000 and start my business. I pay back Dr. Margie her $500,000 plus 30%, but I earn $1 million. I earn $1 million, pay her back $500,000 plus 30%. I made a profit on the money she gave me. That's being your own bank. So how can we do that on a practical level? If you have $5,000 in the bank and you need to buy a car, you don't spend your $5,000 down to the line of zero. You go into the bank and you say, I want to collateralize the money that I have in the bank. I want to borrow your money at 3% interest, and then I want to pay you back at 3%, at your 3% interest. And the money that I have in my savings account is the collateral for my loan. Do you understand? That's being your own bank. Click. I see clicks in your eyes. I like it. All right? So collateralizing your money. Cash flow is the second definition. Cash flow is passive income. It's you sitting here with me and money is being deposited into your bank account. Visualize this with me. Money. When you go and look at you go to the ATM or you open up your internet portal, see money deposited into your account that you didn't work for. Right? That's cash flow. Cash flow is different from income. Income is what I did today. I worked for those dollars. If I hadn't come to work, no dollars would have come in, right? So cash flow is passive income. So the idea of creating wealth, actually, there's two more definitions I want to give you. There's a difference between being rich and being wealthy. Mm-hmm. Rich is my son Solomon getting $1 million and $1 million in the bank, and he's just trying to spend it just a little bit, spend a little bit, spend a little bit, and his money is going down to the line of zero. And he's trying not to run out of money. Right? Mm-hmm. Wealthy is when he collateralizes that $1 million, borrows $1 million, purchases a piece of property, gets cash flow, earns more than that $1 million, and his $1 million stayed in a bank still growing. That's wealthy. So rich is going to the line of zero. These are all the statistics of why we need to learn how to be your own bank. 80% of the youth in the United States of America graduate from high school with no financial literacy. 63% of Americans are confused about a 401k, and a 401ks are stocks. So if you don't have any education on the stock market or what it is, then you have no way to win. You give your money and hope that somebody else will do it for you and have your best interest at heart, right? 3 out of 5 adults don't budget. My son said, I was at Walmart, Mom, and this guy kept squeezing his card. And we're trying not to embarrass them, but he kept sweeping his card. He didn't budget for his groceries, right? 53% of adults feel anxious about tomorrow because of the lack of savings and cash flow. 54% of the millennials are afraid of what's going to happen with their student loans. 66% of Americans lack emergency funds. Only 4% of the population feels financially secure. 4% is $250,000 and above incomes. Right. So listen, why should we be our own bank? January the 1st, 2025, taxes are going up. It's the law. Nothing we can do about it. An administration can come in and change that law. But as it stands right now, if you earn between $44,000 and $95,000 a year, your taxes are currently at 22%. Come January 1st, that's going up to 25%. So the majority of the population will be charged 25% federal income taxes January 25th. That doesn't include state. How much does the state charge? 5% to 10%, 13% if you're in California or New York? Since you're seniors, I gotta tell you, you have to raise your hand and promise you're not gonna leave me when I tell you. Florida is a tax-free state. That's why so many people deal with the gators and move to Florida, right? Because it's a tax-free state, right? But as it stands right now, the majority of Americans are going to be charged 30% in federal and state income taxes come 2025. So that is why it is important to be your own bank. Here's another nugget. When you know how to leverage a loan, are you taxed on a loan?
No.
No. Loans are tax-free. But can you make money if you get a loan?
You invest the money.
If you invest it, if you can flip the loan, then you can make money on tax-free money. That's the secret of the wealthy. Leveraging. Now, I'm a Christian, and I don't mind saying it up here right now. I'm a Christian, and we learned this. The borrower is slave to the lender. We learned that, right?
That's right.
We learned the borrower is slave to the lender if the borrower doesn't know how to make money on what they borrowed. The borrower is slave to the lender if they borrow a predator loan. A predator loan is a loan where they charge you every month or every day. Many mortgages are predator loans. If you miss your mortgage payment, will they charge you interest next month? That's a predator loan. If they say, oh, you've got a fixed interest rate, it's only 4%. You have to go in and say 4% of what? Is it 4% per month? 4 times 12 is what? 48% is what they could be charging you on your mortgage. We do a debt elimination program where we have an algorithm that we couple with a high cash value whole life policy so people can go into whole life and eliminate their debt. They can borrow the life insurance company's money to eliminate debt. We have an algorithm where you put your mortgage in. We saw a mortgage where the company was telling her they were charging, I want to say 7%. When we looked at it, it ended up being 72%.
Oh my word.
Because it's being compounded monthly
Is that
on her mortgage.
usury?
It feels like using me. So I don't know.
Usury is not legal.
We'd have to talk offline about that. But what I want to do is bring an awareness to you. Right? So that you know that mortgage comes from J.P. Morgan. Mortgages were a way to get your property back, a way to own and monopolize land. So it's not designed so that you can just pass it on to your children. It's not designed so that you could really own your house. It's designed to keep you in debt. And if you think about it, if you start at 40% for the year, next year it drops down maybe to 30%. And then it drops down. It would take you a lifetime and you'd never pay off the mortgage. Right? So, how do we get around all of this, Richelle? You have to learn how to be your own bank. We talked about this principle of the reason why we don't build wealth is because we were trained, programmed to save our money in the bank, and then when something happens, spend it back down to the line of zero and do it over and over again. We do the same thing with our credit cards. We charge them up, we pay them back with interest, and we spend them down to the line of zero. How do you get out of the rat race? Learning how to collateralize your money, so you keep your money growing at all times. So your money continues to grow and you use the bank's money. You use the life insurance company's money. You use an investor's money. Robert Kiyosaki, which is one of the richest people in America, multi-billionaire, says, when I go into a deal, I never use my own money. So he use $50 million for a shopping mall project. He goes in to find investors. And his cash is somewhere growing somewhere. Right? You never use your own money. The other principle is your money should always have at least 2 jobs. So whenever you put your money into something, it should be working for you. At least 2 jobs. So it might be an emotional job and it's growing money, babies. You should have this and that. If you don't see 2 jobs for your money, don't do it. If you have in your heart, people call me all the time. Somebody called me yesterday. I was in my pajamas Sunday, and somebody called me and said, I just got this thing in the mail. And it's this and it's that. Should I do it? If you have to ask, it's probably a no, right? If you don't see at least 2 or more benefits to putting your money there, the answer is no. Yes? Woo! Y'all are quiet up in here. Here are our carriers. So we use both life insurance companies and investment companies to grow money, tax-free. We also do basic life insurance. So the Loyal Christian Benefits Association is one of the companies that they're 133 years old. It's a trust and a life insurance company. So that if there's somebody with cancer who doesn't have life insurance, the trust will pay the funeral director and pay off their funeral. Yep. Okay. So we have companies that will cover anyone for anything. So not just be in your own bank. Okay? Mm-hmm. We're partners with Your Family Bank, which is the organization that created the algorithm to eliminate debt. Step 1 in being your own bank is getting out of debt. That's my bio. Been in the industry since 92. I'm a member of the $1 Million Roundtable, 6-figure income earner multiple times. As you can see, I'm passionate and love what I do. We are financial coaches. Our agencies, there's 30 of us. We're financial coaches. We're all over the United States of America. We are not a one and done, hit and run. I bought a life insurance policy and I haven't seen my agency agent since 1992. All right. So we coach people through the process every single step of the way. We build relationships. All right. So partner with us. This workshop, I do it everywhere. At the library, at a church. I'm going to the Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority meeting and doing a workshop. So we do workshops all over the place. The goal is financial literacy because as you can see, statistics say that the United States is not requiring this in school. Okay? If we had learned this a long time ago, we wouldn't be going down to the line of zero over and over again, right? So do partner with us. We also, if you have a life insurance agency or your cousin does investments, but they are not hearing this, let's connect. Give them my business card. text me their information. All right? We earn good money. I just bought a house in Virginia Beach. Yay! I put my mama on the 3rd floor. She has a whole 3rd floor. She has a jacuzzi and a waterfall shower. And me and my son and my mom. So we do pretty well, right? I'm not where I want to be, but I've learned the principle of cash flow. So the policies and the different things that I have done through the years have created cash flow for me. And we want you to do the same thing for you, okay? The average financial planner charges between $5,000 and $10,000 per case. We do not charge the community. Instead of charging, we ask for referrals. We ask for 10 referrals. So if we jump on a coaching call and say, hey, would you like me to take this back to my team and create something for you? You say yes. When I come back, or one of us come back, we'll say, in exchange for this, we're asking for 10 referrals. Who do you know that we should know? That allows us to talk to more people, right? Instead of charging people up front these big fees. Okay? You have to go ahead. Oh, I don't know if you were sliding back if you had to go. If you have to leave, don't worry. I don't get offended. I'm good to go. Okay? All right? I'm learning how to click the clicker. There we go. Okay, so bad debt. Eliminating bad debt is number one. Because if you have a big, huge mortgage and it's got a 40% annual interest rate, that is going to eat up your income. So eliminating debt is the first step. So again, if you have a lot of bad debt, we have an algorithm. You can couple up with me on a Zoom call, and we can show you what our algorithm, we can give you a report. We'll take down a list of your debts. Here's a family that we did. We took down a list of their debts. We took down their income and their income goal. The algorithm came back and told Rick and Kim, they're a young family, just graduated from college, had 3 children, so now they've got student loans and a mortgage and 3 kids. What does that feel like? We took down a list of all their debts. Our algorithm said you have $180,000 worth of debt. You're paying $2,177 per month on your loans. When we get the balance of your loan is $180,000, or when we added up the interest, you're paying $199,000 worth of interest. It's going to take you 30 years to pay off your mortgage and your student loans and your car note. What we're going to do, our algorithm is going to show you how to pay everything off in 7.8 years.
Pay your mortgage off?
Your mortgage.
You make additional principal payments.
Oh, yeah.
Well, not your own money going down to the line of 0. Okay? So the whole point is not you going in the bank and then you make additional payments and you go, oh, God, let's eat oodles and noodles. How do we do that? No. We're going to show you how you keep your money growing and use the life insurance company's money. Okay? So your money won't stop growing. So we're going to teach you that. So instead of paying that out, you're only going to pay your principal. Instead of only being able to save $120,000 at age 65, we're going to make you tax-free millionaires. If you're 30, your money's going to double 3 times. Woo! Okay? Not a problem. And we do this for people as little as $300 a month. We find that $300 a month is a benchmark amount. There's a certain amount of life insurance you're going to have to get so that you can leverage their money. Right? So you're going to have to get a little bit of life insurance. Right? And then the rest, we're going to grow. So we found that at the $300 a month mark, we can do it with just about anybody. The average person who does what I do, they start at $500 to $1,000, $1,500 a month. We don't want to do that. We want to make it more accessible and more affordable. Okay? Can we do less than that? We can, but it doesn't always work. We can try, but it doesn't always work. Okay? Create cash flow is step number 2. How do you create cash flow? We use this magic being called an index universal life insurance policy. This is a life insurance policy. I want you to think about this. I bet you've been around a long time. You've heard these terms. How many of you heard the term buy term and invest the difference? No. Okay, you have. buy temporary life insurance and invest the difference
I
on
think
the
that
stock.
was Prime Plus's,
Prime America, A.L.
Prime
Williams,
America, yeah.
and Dave Ramsey,
yeah.
right? But what happened at age 65 after the pandemic? People lost their money on the stock market. Then they turned 60 and their term policy went up to $400 a month or higher. So they lost their life insurance and their investments. People who flipped their money in real estate did okay with that principle. People who invested on the market and weren't financially literate lost everything. And that's 80% of America. Right? So, how many of you heard the name E.F. Hutton?
Yeah.
Ask E.F. Hutton. E.F. Hutton invented this policy counter to A.L. Williams in the same time. It's buy permanent life insurance and invest the difference in a fixed index Roth IRA. Roth.
Oh, yeah.
A Roth. So that when you're 59, it's all tax-free. Index. Fixed. So that when a market crashes, you don't lose any money. Index so that you get your market gains. Buy permanent life insurance so that when you're 86, it's still with you. Right? And invest the difference in a Roth so you don't have to pay the government. Fixed so that you don't lose your money. Index so that you can get the stock market gains and not lose anything. So A.L. Williams created this policy in the 70s. I'm sorry. E.F. Hutton created this policy in the 70s. But it was only known to rich people. And they were stuffing cash. They were stuffing so much cash in it, the government came after them with a law called TEFRA and said, no, you have to buy more life insurance if you're going to stuff your money in there. And so they said balanced it. But it's still around. And we know how to structure it so we can minimize the death benefit and max out the cash and create cash flow. So this young man, 35, his son is 8, he's putting in $300 a month. If he passed away, he's going to be covered for $500,000 with the permanent life insurance. It's going to grow. At age 65, he's going to stop paying into it. And it's going to stop paying him $1,271 a month guaranteed lifetime income. He's going to be taking that money every single month, passive cash flow, but his balance is going to keep growing. His cash value went up to $73,000. He's taking this money. His cash value went up to $141,000, $219,000, $292,000. So he's taking his cash flow. He's having his cake and he's eating it too. And he's got living benefits. So if he was diagnosed with cancer, heart attack, heart disease, long-term care needs, terminal illness, he can surrender or partially surrender a large portion of that death benefit. Sweet. The young people are jumping on this. How old? You just have to be in good health. My mama got one at age 75.
Whole lot.
This. She had a whole life of Mutual of Omaha. She was paying $150 a month. It was only worth $25,000 of the life insurance. She changed, took her medical exam, got this, paid $150 a month for a $50,000 index universal life. She just borrowed some money out of it just for fun. Just a few months ago. And I looked, I said, Mama, you took money out? And she said, yeah, I took money out. She said, but I'm paying myself back at $5 a month. I was like, Mom, you need to put more than $5 a month in. So I took it over from her and I'm paying it now. I said, Mom, I'm gonna accelerate your policy. So I took it from her and I'm paying extra into it. I'm paying $200 a month. I took it off her bank account.
Shame on you. She wanted to go on a cruise.
She took her money. She got her money.
Yeah.
She took her money out. She gonna do what she wanna do. But I took over the premiums. Because I didn't want her to lapse it. Okay? So you do not have, it goes up to age 80. You just have to be in good health. That you do have to be in good health with this one. Okay, we do have some others that you don't have to be in good health.
So
Yes,
did you
ma'am.
cash in her $25,000 policy?
Yes. And it was so
This
happy
whole
that
life, what did she get from it? Because it's
I can't tell you that, but she got a nice
it's not
chunk
a
of
whole
money.
lot of money.
She got a mutual fund her whole life. Yeah, she got.
What if it's not a lot of money?
Oh, she'd had it for 3 years, and I did it just 3 years ago. Yeah. No. She for 5 years. She had it for 5 years. Yeah, she did. Yeah, she did. But we trust me. That was money that got her through the pandemic.
And she still has this.
She says this.
And she's paying into it though.
I'm paying it now.
You're paying it.
Yeah. But she's 78 now.
Wow.
Right? So no, it's not a matter of, it is a matter of good health for IUL. Because they're going to let you they're going to let you leverage the death benefit as collateral for a loan. What? Because they're going to let you leverage the death benefit for collateral for a loan and then pay yourself back, you have to be in decent health. You can't have any critical or chronic illnesses. Okay, you can't have diabetes and type 2 or type 1. You can have all the basic stuff, right? So just so you know. Okay? There's an IUL. I'm not going to go into a lot of it because it can get really complicated. So I asked myself, Richelle Dickerson, can I take an IUL and make myself a millionaire? That's what I asked myself. When I first came into the business. And I found a way that at age 65, I can create cash flow. So, we already talked about the decreasing value of money. And people go, well, Richelle, $1 million is a lot of money. Why do you need $1 million? I've heard people ask me that. Well, in 2035, $1 million is going to be like living on $50,000.
Yeah.
Because if I were to rent an apartment, or if your grandchild were to rent an apartment, they're in high school, when your grandchild turns 20, an apartment's going to be $5,000, $4,000 a month just for an apartment in 2035 because of the cost of living. In 2045, it's going to be like living on $25,000 because of the cost of living. So why do you need to have $1 million? And why should you take a death benefit and leverage it and turn it into cash flow? Because I'm 56. By the time I'm 66, that's only 10 years. I'd have to save $4,000, $5,000 a month if I was starting from zero in order to be decent. Remember I said I bought a house in Virginia Beach? Right? So I said, well, how can I do this? And I'm going to show you what I did. Say, good God, you must be doing all right, Richelle. $1,600 a month. At age 35, $1 million. At age 65, this person's going to take cash flow of $10,000 a month for life and still grow their six-figure asset and have $2 million by the time they're 84. And then if cancer or a heart attack or a critical injury happen, you can surrender that death benefit for over $1 million. I started my policy at $500 a month in the beginning of the pandemic. And then I just began to tie to myself every time, 10% of my income, into my policy. I got the app. I did it in my mama's. I did it in my son's. I do it in mine to fill us up with cash value. Because it's a universal life, so it's a flexible premium. Whole life, you can't do that. You can't have a flexible premium, but this allows you to have a flexible premium. So I was able to borrow from my life insurance policy and move us in that house. And then pay myself back, and it's back up. I think I have only $300 left when I checked on the loan to pay it off.
Wow. Wow.
That's awesome.
And I have like 3 more months to pay that back, and then my cash value never went down. Right? And it accelerated. Right? So all I do is I just took $100 a month out of my Capital One. Y'all know so much about me now. And then that just pays back the loan automatically. Right? And so at the end of the year, I have last year's principal and interest and this year's principal and interest, and I can do it again. To move again, to own, to do it again. It's called infinite banking. Because my money never went down to the line of zero. I'm just doing it again. And pay myself back. And pay myself back. Okay? 45 years old, 55 years old, like I said, I would have had to shove away about $4,000 a month to get there, right? So, that's great. So the other way to do cash flow. Good job you guys are still here. This is Pastor Joe, one of my actual clients. Pastor Joe retired from Xerox and called me and said, Michelle, I know your mom and your granddad and I need to do work with you. So we took Pastor Joe's money and we put it in a fixed index annuity, and he got an immediate bonus of $24,000. Whoa. A year's worth of income. And then we let it cook for 1 year, and Pastor Joe's going to draw out over $24,000 a year for the rest of his life, which is 8% of his balance. So the annuity has something called a roll-up. It's an 8% roll-up that will allow you to draw out 8% of your balance for life. What?
Okay.
Ask the question.
Is this tax-free income or no?
Not yet, because it was a 401k,
Okay.
right? So what we're going to do, right now, we're looking for a South Carolina estate planning lawyer. So we're going to have this put into a fixed, guarantor retained IRA trust. And he's a pastor, right? So he's going to do some things with it. It's going to be tax-free. If we hadn't done that, the government would come out of this, come looking for this money, federal and state, right? So that's the strategy, okay? We did this with a real estate investor. That real estate investor sold an elementary school, put in $1.3 million. Their bonus was $136,000. They're going to leave it in there until they're 65 and take $172,000. So how is this being your own bank? How is this using a life insurance company's money? If you have $100,000 and you withdraw 10% out every single year, how long would it take you to run out of money? You would run out in 10 years, right? If you withdraw 8% of the balance of your investment account, how long would it take you to run out of money? Between 12 and 15 years. Pastor Joe would have ran out of money at age 82. But after that, because he has a guaranteed lifetime income, they're still taking money. So Pastor Joe is being his own bank here because he ran out of money, and the life insurance company is going to pay him till the day he dies.
He's waiting for you.
Oh, I don't want you to jump up there and get that one, Spider-Man. Oh, you need it with the thing jumping out. So if you have a broom, yeah, but I don't want you like to web it. Woo. Okay.
It's fun wiping them out.
Yeah, I would love to see that. Okay, and then with the whole life policy, this is what I'm doing. This is a high cash value whole life. So this is that same investor putting in $2,500 a month. He let it cook for a while, so he took a loan of $17,000. He didn't have to pay himself back because he's overfunding the policy. He didn't have to do what I'm doing. Okay, so he took that money out. He's got $232,000. He took that money out. His assets go to 241. He keeps taking money out. His assets keep growing as he's taking money out. Okay, so that's the actual structure for it.
So he never gets to zero.
That's it.
Wow.
You never go to zero. No more of that.
That's impossible. You always get to zero.
In the policy, anyway, not in life. All right. So those of you who are interested.
Definitely.
I want to invite you to. Hey, you got it? Oh Lord. They're serious about these walks around here. Maybe that there needs to be an exterminator. All right, so the concept is being in infinite banking, being able to leverage a death benefit. So we also have a client that we recommended. She just called me, Miss Deku. You all don't know her, so it's okay. So we said Miss Deku. She said, I should go back to Walmart. She could work part-time at Walmart. I said, no. Okay. How much do you have in assets in your house? She told us. We took the assets from her house and we turned it into lifetime cash flow of an extra $1,500 a month. So now instead of going to work at Walmart, she has $1,500 a month coming in for the rest of her life. In addition to her soul.
Is that on a reverse mortgage?
No. She did So I think she's going to do a line of credit. So they're going to increase her mortgage by like $300 a month. But she's going to get $1,500 a month from us. So it washes itself out. And then she's got health issues too. So,
Excuse me.
yes, ma'am.
I have a question.
Yeah, sure. No, your family left you. Why'd your family leave
They
you?
have the allergic reaction.
Huh?
They have the one that isn't. And I'm in 100% condition. Can I have your card or something?
Yes. Right over there.
Oh, okay.
Such a sweetie. Card. Yep. All right, so I know I'm rattling on. All right, and I want to just do this last slide and then we're done. All right, so what we do is you set up a coaching call with little old me. On the back of that card, you have my cell phone number. You can text me on the back. You can book me, okay? Set up a coaching call with me, and let's see how we can create cash flow. If you set up a coaching call, you will get a copy of my free ebook.
Okay.
I'll give you a copy of my free ebook, okay?
I
If you
wanted to
text
tell you
me
it sounds good because I do have all those characteristics. I have no bodily harm done to me yet.
Okay.
And I've been heavy, but I've never had. My husband always did the accounting, and he just passed away. He wasn't supposed to. He was 20 years younger than I am, but I'm still alive. With my son, he went 2 weeks later. So I've got, but that's and my neighbor has been helping me with my income because I have no idea what I have or don't have. So I'm kind of shaky. Not shaky, but we don't feel comfortable doing everything that we're doing.
Yes, ma'am. I would love to be of service to
Okay,
you.
thank you, sweetheart.
Somebody helping you?
Yes, yeah,
Gotcha.
it's from me.
Okay. All right. Okay, so book a coaching call with me, everybody. I'm going to speed up the process because I know, I was like, I'm wearing them out now. There's my booking calendar. So what you do is scan that, and it opens up my booking calendar, and then you can book anytime you like. There's my cell phone number. Thank you. Bye. Bye. Go ahead and take a picture. Text me. If you book a call with me, I will send you a copy of my ebook, and it breaks down all that I went over. Okay? All right?
I said, oh, sorry, there it is.
Yep, email.
I can't wait till my glasses come in.
Yep. All right, I've got a bunch of people online. Got a bunch of, thank you. All right, okay, so listen, I am here for you all the time. So please stop me, ask me questions, and let's chat about it in person.
I'm 69. So.
Oh, yeah. Boy, you look good. Jeez Louise. All right, so let's book a call. All right, y'all, thanks for listening. I will jump back on and answer any questions that you guys have in just a few minutes. Okay, that'll work. All right.